Hello, hi, and welcome to this live session on Dream11. What do you would expect out of this session? This is what we are going to discuss in this live session, right? All right. So before we get started, I'll like to wait for a couple of more minutes for folks to join in, and we'll start at 7:03 sharp. All right, I think we should start. Uh, hi, I'm Mohit, and I teach at Scalar Academy. And I primarily teach about system design topics here, how to architect high level systems, how do you build bigger systems, how do you handle scale, how do you handle concurrency. These are the kind of topics that I primarily teach in Scalar Academy. In the past, I have led teams in Hotstar and Nutanix, and I consider myself to be very fortunate enough to see scale at these companies. Right, I've uh, built systems that have seen over 10 million concurrent users. I have built data pipelines that can crunch, terabytes of data as well, and that's why I started teaching in Scalar as well, because I wanted to share the knowledge that I've accumulated over the years, and wanted to share that particular knowledge with you. In total, I've been working in this industry for almost a decade now, and the reason we are hosting this session, by the way, is to basically give you a glimpse of what I would cover in the upcoming masterclass on Dream11, that is on May 2nd, Sunday, right? And I lay down certain prerequisites that I would expect everybody to go through those prerequisites and understand those prerequisites, so that when you join the session live, you are able to basically get sense and meaning out of that session, right? We can dig deeper into the Dream11 architecture if you just go through all those prerequisites. I'll give you good resources also from where you can study about those prerequisites. And finally, I'm here to answer any questions or take suggestions about from you. If you have any sort of suggestions that, hey, this is a topic that if I could include in the masterclass, that would be really awesome. So I will open to any suggestions or feedback that you want us to incorporate in this session, right? So coming to the what I will cover part, what I will cover in the actual session. So we'll start off with defining a framework that all of you should use to approach such system design problems or challenges, right? And this is a framework that you should apply not just in interviews, but in your jobs, or maybe if you're starting up your own company as well. All right. The framework is quite simple, and we'll basically uh, put this framework into practice on Sunday masterclass, right? So the first step is to know what you're going to build, right? List down. People call it listing down the features, uh, or gather all the requirements. But I'll say know what you're going to build. All right. For example, if you're starting a company, you should know what you are going to build before you start designing or go into the tech and uh, try to find tech solutions. Have a precise answer of what I'm going to build, what is going to be my MVP or my minimal viable product. This is the product that if this goes into market, then I will consider it to be a successful release of my product, right? Once you've done that, also get a sense of how many users are going to use this product, and what are the typical ways of finding that out. For example, let's say for Dream11 itself, I'm building again a fantasy sports app, and I want to find out how many number of users are actually using Dream11. So my user base will be a part of a small fraction of the actual number of users who are playing Dream11. The so there are multiple websites that give you that kind of a data. One kind of a website is similarwebsites.com. Go to that website, enter the website or a similar idea that you're trying to build up, and then based on that, it will give you a good number, how many daily active users are there, how many monthly active users are there on this particular website, and from there you can calculate some fraction of it and build a good sense of what is your user base and how big is your user base. And you should always, uh, once you have got a sense of your scale of your system, the next step is to basically build a system such that, assuming that all your user base can fit into one machine. And the reason I'm saying that is because a relational database will give you lot much flexibility on the querying part, right? It is like, if you for example, if you choose a KV store, you can the only way you can query a KV store is query by the key that is there. Whereas if you have a relational store, you can query on the different kind of columns. You can also query across tables. So that's the benefit of designing a relational schema. And once you have designed this kind of a schema, and you have a set of working APIs or contracts uh, ready with you, then comes the scaling part, right? When you're scaling it, let's say you have designed a system for 1,000 users. Now these 1,000 users grow from 1,000 to maybe 10,000. 10,000 also one system can scale. Let's assume that from 10,000, once it reaches 100K, your one system will not be able to cater to all these users. So what do you do now? You define what kind of clear trade-offs are required. For example, should you prefer consistency, or should you prefer availability? That is a decision, one of the decisions that you need to make. We'll look at other trade-offs in the masterclass. Also, please join in, and we'll discuss what are the different kind of trade-offs available in detail. Once you have these trade-offs also ready, then you try to eliminate the bottlenecks that might occur in the step 3. For example, you might realize that, hey, in the RDS, uh, I can store the information only in one server, one data node. But one data node might not have sufficient RAM or system resources available to store the entire information, right? In those cases, what we need to do is, we need to somehow partition this data into smaller subsets, and store basically have multiple servers storing this information. We'll look at what are the different ways of partitioning in the masterclass, but that is the basic idea, right? So this was just one example of a typical bottleneck that might occur in your application, and we'll look at into multiple other bottlenecks that might arise in your system as well. And one of the key reasons why you should definitely attend this Dream11, specifically the Dream11 one, is uh, the distribution of users in case of a Dream11 is quite different from any other system, right? You might consider Google as well, right? Google does not experience spiky kind of a traffic. Mostly the number of users who are querying the searching on Google remains same. But in case of Dream11, there is a huge spike just when the toss happens in a cricket match, right? So uh, after the toss in a IPL match, what happens is, people can go ahead and change their teams. And this is actually this is an actual data, I'm not making this up. And what Dream11 notices, just after the toss, there is 10x the amount of users that were initially there. So for example, let's say before the toss on the platform, it only had 100K users. But as soon as after the toss, there are 1 million users on the platform. So the amount of resources that you had kept for 100K users are no longer will no longer be able to cater to 1 million users. And no matter what kind of auto scaling you have, it will not be able to handle or add instances at such a fast rate. So how do you handle such kind of a spiky traffic? That is one area which we'll cover in the masterclass. uh, and we'll also look at the traditional ways of scaling, where we add or remove instances based on the amount of requests we are getting, and based on certain other metrics from the that we are generating from the application server. We'll also look at the how do we store the data, like how do we shard the data, and how do we partition it in such a way that that I'm basically able to store the data of every user in the system. Imagine Dream11 have over, I think, close to 100 million users. One server will not be able to store the data for one these 100, like 100 million users. So how do we actually store data for such a huge user base? We'll look into that. And finally, we'll look into how do we handle 5 million concurrent users, right? So 5 million, the reason I'm saying 5 million is, if you Google about the maximum concurrency that Dream11 has got till now, it is 5 million. That's the reason I'm stressing on the 5 million part. And we'll see, I'll use the knowledge, or use the uh, problems or challenges that I solved in Hotstar, because Hotstar also operates on a similar kind of a concurrent platform concurrency. So we'll dig deeper into what are the challenges associated once you reach, or once you cross 1 million scale, specifically, right? But to be able to deliver such kind of a session, where I can freely talk about these things, it is essential that you go through certain prerequisites, right? You should have good knowledge about what are horizontal, or even if you don't have good knowledge, some basic knowledge about what is horizontal scaling, what is vertical scaling. You should know what a load balancer is, how a request flows through my entire system. So if I have a client, client will send a request to, let's say, Dream11 servers. What are the intermediate steps that are available? For example, there will be a IP resolution step at DNS. There will be a load balancer. There might be some application server in between, which can be either stateless or stateful. So stateless and stateful is again becomes one more prerequisite. You should have an idea about cap theorem. You should know how to design a relational schema. So if I give you a set of requirements, you should have a basic idea about how do I convert plain English requirements into a relational schema, a workable relational schema that can answer all the queries that have scoped out in the feature list. And to learn, if any of this term sounds alien to you, we have on our just go to our YouTube channel. There we have an excellent resource on system design. The playlist name is Getting Started with System Design. Please go ahead and watch. There are just 6 videos. It will hardly take 1 hour of your time, right? If you just binge watch everything, it will not even take 1 hour, right? But it will give you a solid foundation uh, about being able to discuss architecture at a higher scale. And that will also save us a valuable time during the masterclass, because we can use that valuable time to discuss about bigger systems, right, and bigger challenges. So yeah, that was basically my prepared agenda about this session. Now I will basically open up for questions that you might have, and then I'll answer the question. Pawan, no, I'm taking this question. Are you going to explain Dream11 today? No, this session is primarily to highlight what we are going to cover in the masterclass on Sunday, and to lay down certain prerequisites, right? If you don't know what uh, the set of keywords that I spoke about, if you don't know what is a cap theorem, uh, what is stateless versus stateless, what is stateless system, what are stateful systems. Uh, so that is something that you should basically go to our for which you should go to our YouTube channel and watch the design series. That series is primarily made just for folks who are attending the master classes, because there is no good content on system design. That's the reason we recorded that series and put it out. This is coming from the past experience on master classes that we have taken. So what we saw was that there are at least 50% in the audience who attend master classes who do not know these terms, because of which the masterclass time is getting wasted on that, like these topics. So that's the primary goal of today's session, to clearly lay down the prerequisites, so that whoever comes during the session, the masterclass, uh, they are aware of the prerequisites. Okay. So is it so there's a question by Shubham. Is it only LLD or HLD? So Shubham, it is a combination of both. We are going to discuss, first start with the low level design. However, there is a brilliant video on that particular playlist, which talks about how to design an LLD. So we won't spend most of the time in LLD. The major time of the masterclass will be will be spent on discussing the HLD part. So the reason I'm saying that is because you cannot discuss HLD without discussing what are the key components that are available on the low level design part. So yes, Aditya, this video will remain on the YouTube afterwards, so you can go back and visit the video as per your convenience. Does data modeling also comes under HLD? So Shubham, again, a high level design is primarily about components that are there in the system, right? So what are the components that are there in the system? I'll call the client application, right? Or the Android device or iOS device, or maybe my browser as one component. I will not discuss how I am implementing or how I am making an Android app. That is a low level design part aspect, right? Similarly, there are other components also in the high level architecture. For example, there is a load balancer, there are application servers. Now what happens within the application servers is a part of low level design, and that is something that we are going to cover in a very faster pace. If you have any there is a video on design LinkedIn, on system design series. Go ahead and watch that. That is primarily a video on data modeling, where we pick LinkedIn as an example and discuss how do we sort of convert the feature set into the entities and relationships of a relational database. uh, so before going HLD, can we have some videos for LL? So this is around, before going to HLD, can we have some videos for LLD as well? There is a video I spoke in the system design series. Please go ahead and watch that. The name of the video is 90% engineers don't know these schema design tips. There I give practical insights about how do you convert plain English language into a relational schema, right? That video would be good enough for you. So Pawan asked, would I be coding during the session, like designing skeleton classes or maybe making models? If you're struggling on that aspect, this session is primarily going to focus on the higher level aspect. We won't be coding anything, but we are going to give you an idea about how real systems are architected. What are the different components involved? Do I need a load balancer or not? Do I need a cache layer? If I need a cache layer, what should be my cache key? Those are the components that I'm going to be uh, covering. Uh, yes, the video of LinkedIn. Okay. I'm just checking on the other questions. If anyone has any other questions. Cool. Does anyone have any other questions, guys? All right, then. I'll end the broadcast now. I'm excited to see everyone in the session on the masterclass, which is around Dream11. Hope to see you, everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.